Hey, I'm your host today, Michelle, reading some very interesting Reddit stories. And I'm joined today by my co host and best friend,
Mina. Hi.
Okay, so the theme of today's Reddit stories are friends.
Perfect.
That's why I brought my friends blanket.
You mean friends?
No, not Friends, the show.
Oh.
I was just trying to be cute
okay.
and like, we're talking about friends. I have friends.
Okay.
But not the actual show Friends. Maybe one day.
Not yet.
Because that's our show.
Yes. We gotta go on the Friends subreddit and see what kind of shit they be talking.
We already know who it's gonna be about.
Ross and Rachel were not on a break.
They
were, but they weren't broken up.
They weren't broken up. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for another day. Okay. So the first story is, am I the asshole for charging my friends rent then keeping the money for myself? This will be my first year in college. When I got accepted, the first person I told was my uncle. We're very close because he took care of me when I was little because of my parents' crazy work schedules. Anyway, my grades were good enough to get me in, but not enough to get me any scholarships. That means I'll have to take out loans for tuition and work for my expenses. When my uncle found out, he said I should just concentrate on school instead of working, but my dad, his brother, said that money is tight right now, so my parents can't help me out as much as they want to. My uncle has investment properties all over the place, so he said it's not a big deal for him to buy another one near my campus, which he did. Then he had contractors renovate the house, so everything in there is brand new. She typed emerging by accident, but I know she meant everything. He even had them install a bay window in the master bedroom just for me, and I got to pick out everything else like the carpet and counters. He told me he wants me to concentrate on school and not work. Instead, I can be his landlady and rent out the 3 bedrooms and keep that money to fund my expenses. I have a group of friends who are attending the same school, so I made a deal with them. Studio apartments are going between $900 and $1,500, not including utilities, around the campus, with the expensive ones being closer. My uncle's house is 1 street over from campus, so I can literally walk to class every day. I'm charging my friends $700 per room, or if they double up, $350 per person per month, and split utilities evenly. They all jumped at the offer and no one asked any questions until recently when one of them asked me how much the overall rent was. I was honest and told them about my uncle and our deal. That blew up in my face because now every one of my friends are calling me greedy for charging them rent, then pocketing the money. We're all in a huge fight and they all want to either pay nothing or throw a couple hundred in for utilities. I cried to my uncle, but he said, now that I'm an adult, I need to make my own adult decision. He'll stand by my decision. I don't want to lose my friends, but I don't want to disappoint my family with bad grades either. I thought I was being fair with rent, but literally all of my friends are calling me a greedy asshole.
Oh my God.
So what are you thinking?
Totally not the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
It's none of their business what she's doing. Like, that is a business. And it was a deal with her uncle. Like, you really think that one person is going to let 3 people live for free? Like, I understand you're friends.
Right.
But no, I don't think she's the asshole at all. Like, literally, unless it's like, we were friends for so long, like 10 plus years, I'll give you a little discount. But if this is a business thing with a family member, no one has the right to come in between that or feel entitled to free rent.
I agree. So Reddit deemed her not the asshole.
Okay.
So I will read 2 comments. The first comment, which explains why she's not the asshole, and another comment, which I actually do agree with, and you'll hear why I agree with this. So the top comment and the overall verdict, which is not the asshole, is you're not the asshole. You're getting a great deal, but instead of focusing on that, they're seething with envy. Your uncle didn't buy and renovate that home so that your jealous friends could have a free place to live. He invested in that home so you could have a place to stay and an income while you're in school. Don't back down, OP. Your friends are not entitled to a free roof over their heads just because you have one. There was another point that someone made, and I won't read their whole comment, but they basically were saying that they just feel uncomfortable because now there's a power dynamic between them because they thought that they were roommates, but in reality, she's their landlord.
Okay.
And so they were saying that's why the friends are behaving like that because of this power dynamic.
Did she say how long they were living together before, or it was just like right before, like
she didn't say. So it sounds like they were already living together, and then one of them decided to ask how much was the total rent, which I believe if you guys are saying we're roommates, that is a fair question to ask someone if you didn't know that they were your landlady. Even if you did know, like you would want to know how much total the rent is, and someone should be honest about it. So here is the comment that, so they say, I know I'll be downvoted, but you're the asshole. Not necessarily for collecting rent, but why on earth would you tell them that you're pocketing the money? You alienated your friends and created a breeding ground for jealousy and resentment. I also feel like it's kind of scummy that you're not contributing to utilities at all. If 4 people use the lights, 4 people should be paying for them. Also, rooms for rent aren't the same as studio apartments and should be valued accordingly. Okay. So this comment says, you're the asshole. You should have been upfront from the start. This has revealed to them a weird dynamic that makes them feel like you're only friends with them to make money off of them. Yes, they're getting a good deal. No, you wouldn't have to be upfront if you recruited strangers, but these were your friends. You should have let them decide whether to live with you, knowing where their money is going. They thought it was going to some anonymous landlord, and instead is going to someone who doesn't even invest in the house. It's honestly so slimy that your uncle's gift to you is your friend's dead. I don't agree with that. If they all knew that from the start and then suddenly they have an issue with it, you wouldn't be an asshole at all. So here's why I agree with some of those points. I do feel like because these are her friends and not random roommates. Like remember the first Reddit post that we did, we were reading about roommates, and a lot of those were just strangers. So it's like that feels more of a business arrangement. But when these are your actual friends, you should have disclosed to them that you were their landlord at the very least. I thought that she did. Okay. She didn't tell them, and I feel like that in itself is weird because why didn't you tell them? Did you have a feeling that they'd feel uncomfortable with it? And if you feel like someone would be uncomfortable with something, then you should just talk about it and find out. So I feel like she should have told them. And I don't think she's the asshole for this arrangement. I think that's great that her uncle is looking out for her and trying to help her, not have a lot of expenses while she's in college, because her being able to take that rent money and just pay off her student loan debt, that's great. But I do think that it was greedy to do that off of your own friends. And when someone made a point that the pricing that she gave, where she's like, oh, studio apartments go for this amount and this amount, but it's like they're not having a studio apartment, which would be a place to themselves. They're just a room. They're just one room that they have to share other common spaces like the bathroom, the living room, and the kitchen with a bunch of other people. And then some of them have to even maybe share their room, and the cost only is reduced by half. And then she's making them split utilities amongst themselves, and she's not even contributing to the utilities.
That's one part that I think that she's the asshole for.
Yeah, it gave greedy.
Yeah, not splitting on the utilities, and that you're also contributing to the cost of these utilities. That's very asshole-ish. However, did she say how old she was? Or
she didn't say, but if this is college, and I'm assuming it must be first year, she has to at least be 17, 18, 19, around those ages. She could be older, but I'm just going off of college. If you came straight out of high school and went to college.
Yeah. So for me now, it's not 100% not the asshole, but there's like multiple. So I'm going to be a little, like with this point specifically, I'm going to be a little bit of the devil's advocate here.
Okay.
I think that depending on the friendships that you have, because especially going into college and stuff like that, people can have friends, but how close are they?
Right.
And is there actually like solid trust? Right. And of course you would think, well, unless you trust your friends 100%, then you shouldn't let them live in your house and pay you rent. Yeah, sure. But how many of us actually are in really solid friendships now with the people we had friendships with back then? Not saying that they weren't trustworthy, but we fell off for a reason, you know? But I think that, her being that young and letting her friends know that she was the landlord and they're paying her, her not paying utilities aside, I think that would have created a dynamic of her friends being too comfortable.
Okay.
And the only reason why I say that is because when you are young, sometimes even when you're friends, you can get too comfortable with something.
Right.
So I think that for the sake of keeping the friendship clear and clean, her not saying that she was the landlord, I think it's kind of fair. Right. If we're talking like older, like, I wouldn't even say 25, because sometimes 25-year-olds, like, you know, they're still sorting out through friendships and stuff like that. Right. But if we are mature adults, and I tell my mature adult friends who I trust 100%, I've known for 10 years, etc., like, hey, I'm the landlord. If you guys want to rent my place, then you can do that. Here's the cost, you know, whatever. And I trust that my friends who I've known for a long time would be fair with me and, you know, pay me on time or communicate if they can't by a certain time, whatever. Right. So I think that people who are saying that she's the asshole for not letting them know that she's the landlord, I think that they're reaching just a little bit, only because she is very young, and so are her friends. Right. And who knows if these are friends that are like this, because why did all of them react so harshly to it? Like, yeah, they probably felt like they were getting taken advantage of and stuff like that. But that just goes to show, like, where's the mature conversation at? Because they're all young, right? You know, so instead of being like, okay, you know, I understand, or like having a mature conversation, everything just blew up. Right. You know, so I think with that, you do have to keep some business stuff separate depending on who your friends are. Right. So I think that's the only thing I would say on her side. I don't think she's the asshole for not telling her friends because they're young, and who knows what people are really thinking. Right. And her being 18, pretty sure she hasn't been friends with these people for a long time. Right. She probably doesn't really know how they would have felt if she was a landlord. Right. I don't know. I'm not trying to definitely not making excuses for her not paying utilities, because that's something that she definitely should have paid. So she's wrong for that. However, keeping private that you are a landlord at 18, I think that was the right thing to do.
I think that her friends were wrong for straight up jumping to, well, now I don't think we should pay anything, or we should only pay utilities. That was wrong. Yeah. That was wrong, because who do you think you are? At the end of the day, you can't just decide what you could do, even if this wasn't my place. If we were just all friends rooming in a random apartment that we rented together, you can't tell me what you are and aren't going to do in our shared space. Yeah. That was wrong, but I still feel like if that was my friend, I can understand if you do genuinely believe this person is your friend and you found out that they were keeping that a secret, I would be emotional too. And especially at a younger age, yeah, you can't expect them to go straight into having a mature and logical conversation because their emotions were heightened, because at the core of it, their feelings were hurt, because it almost feels like a betrayal. You didn't tell me the truth. You framed this like Oh, we're roommates, but we're not roommates. You're my landlord and you live with me.
So do you think it could be their feelings were hurt over multiple things? Because the way I took it was that their feelings were hurt because they feel that they should not be paying rent because she's their friend.
No, I think their feelings were hurt because they didn't know the dynamic of the situation. And I think when it comes to money, people are quick to jump to the jealousy accusation of like, oh, they're just jealous. But you can only know that they were jealous if you just had told them the truth from the beginning. If she told them the truth from the beginning and then they were acting weird about it or agreed to it, but then trying to be like, well, this isn't, you don't pay anything here anyways, after they already agreed to live together, then you know that they're jealous. But if you told them the truth and they decide to get into this arrangement and they're cool with it, yeah. So that's the only way I feel like you could have known that they were jealous is first starting with the truth that you were their landlord, that this is your home and you're collecting the money. And it may not have actually been OP's intention to deceive her friends. It may not have been that. She probably did feel uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes you feel uncomfortable with stuff because you know that it's kind of wrong. Like if you know you're keeping a secret and then you feel uncomfortable about keeping a secret, it's because you know that you should be telling the truth. And then when they asked her, she did tell the truth, but it's like, you should have been forthcoming from the beginning, I think. And she would have been better off probably doing this arrangement with people she didn't consider a friend, because that's why they say you can't mix family and business or friends and business. That's true. And there's easy ways to have gotten around the possibility of her friends being too comfortable. If she told them the truth in the beginning, she could have made a lease agreement, made some type of contractual agreement to hold them to it from the beginning, being like, this is my uncle's home. I'm the landlord. And if you want to stay here, this is the rent. It's a good deal because you know this is what places are going for around campus. And this way you don't have to live with strangers. We're all friends here. This is the deal. But you have to sign a lease agreement. Then there would have set that boundary of like, okay, we're friends, but she mean business as well. But being secretive about it in the beginning, I just don't like it because I don't like, and I talked about this in another, was that our first Reddit podcast post or maybe our second one, where I think it was the second one, but I don't like this like cutthroat attitude that people have towards money when it does involve family and friends. I feel like we start to lose our sense of like integrity and empathy for other people's feelings because it's just kind of like, well, business is business. And it's like, yeah, but if you care about your friends and your family, there is a line that I think I don't think it's so black and white is what I'm trying to say. I think there's a gray area for that in that sense, you know? So
the only thing for me, I'm thinking about two sides. So I guess I can share my opinion on either one.
Yeah.
If she trusted these friends, then she should have trusted them enough to tell them the truth.
Yeah.
Then if it was more so, these are my friends. I don't know where our future is going, but I like them right now.
Right.
You know? And I think that, because I remember being young and I had some friends who we were solid for a while. And then all of a sudden it just flipped. So for me, I'm thinking more of like a precautionary thing. Right. I don't think that if you fully trusted these friends, then you should have kept it from them. Right. I don't think that. So I think for me, this story is like a 50-50 now because we don't know the dynamic of the friends. Right. If she was like, oh yeah, I trust them with everything and they would never do this by me. Right. But then I still didn't tell them I was, the landlord and stuff. Right. Then, okay. But because we don't really know the dynamic, I could just say if she trusted the friends, she should have told them. Right. If she was unsure, because when you're young, you get to hang out with people and like have a good time and become friends. Right. But like the solid friendship isn't really there yet.
Right.
Because it may be a new friendship.
Right.
So I think with that, letting people know less of your business
Right.
is better, only because I feel like some people could get too comfortable. And when you know that your landlord is an 18-year-old person,
Right.
I feel like some people would jump at that and be like, oh, well, she'll probably be okay with me skipping rent
Right.
1 month, or, since she's not paying for it, she doesn't have to pay rent.
Right.
So I'm just thinking about precautionary,
Right.
not so much being secretive of your friends.
Right.
But yeah, so I feel like it could go two ways.
Right.
So yeah, but I can't say, now I can't say not the asshole or asshole because I don't know the context of the friends. But
right.
if I were to assume that they were just, friends in college, kicking it, the trust is 100% there.
Right.
I'm kind of not the assholing her.
Right.
Because sometimes things can get weird when you're young.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think where my difference comes in is I feel like I wouldn't call you a friend if I couldn't trust you. So there wouldn't be oh, you're my friend, but I have to look out for you. I would just feel like you weren't my friend if I have to feel that way. If I have to feel like I can't trust you, or I need to do things because what...
do you trust everyone off the bat? No,
but if you call someone a friend, you should trust them. And I'm going to call this for what it is, for what I think it is. It's just manipulative, or wanting your cake and wanting to eat it too. You want to be able to get what you want, and you don't want to deal with the confrontation that may come with that. So that is manipulative. You are trying to create a situation that works out for you all around, and not thinking about any of the other people and how they may feel or their stance on it. It's okay, I want to collect this profit, but I know that if I tell them this, that they may confront me, they may be upset, and I don't want to deal with that. So I'm trying to keep the peace, but really keeping the peace is just for yourself. And that in itself it's just greedy. And she is young. So sometimes when you're younger, you are selfish, and that's where that is rooted in.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I felt like she is the asshole. I don't feel like she's the asshole for collecting rent, for getting this handout from her uncle, because that is what family is for. And this was a great opportunity for her. I think she just could have handled it differently. But she's young,
and she could have paid her damn utilities.
Girl. Just throw a little 50 on the water.
Yeah, no. Like in that case, I think she was just like, yeah, I don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
But, that's not that's not fair.
That's not fair. But shit, life is not fair sometimes, unfortunately. Yeah. And I think that was a learning lesson for her, and a learning lesson for her friends, because on the opposite end, I can say in my younger years, I was naive in the sense that if I thought someone was my friend, that we were friends.
That's what I mean.
But if you're not my friend, then I can't just assume that you would think like me and be like, okay, we're friends, so I'm going to have your best interest at heart. I didn't assume that other people would always put their own interests above yours, even if they were your friend. So, yeah. Okay. So here's the update from OP. And she says, thank you for reading my post and giving me advice. I went to my uncle this time without crying and told him some of the advice given on here and asked him for his advice. This time, he didn't tell me to make my own adult decisions and told me he was waiting for this conversation. This is what we agreed to do. I texted all of my friends, former (?), and told them because of the arguments and hurt feelings, I can no longer live together. My uncle offered to work out a lease for me in the beginning, but I refused because these were my friends.
Okay.
I didn't read this update. So because no one signed a lease, we didn't have to break any. I was worried about them suing, but my uncle said that the law in our state requires anything to do with real estate be in writing.
Suing for what?
maybe like just kicking them out.
Oh,
Because there was no lease agreement, so there wasn't like we're not leaving until this date,
okay.
Unlike other situations, real estate deals cannot be oral, so I'm good. This time I took him up on the offer of creating, at least for me, to have new tenants sign. We spent the morning researching rent prices and making ads. My friends and I made the agreement at the beginning of summer. Now there's only a couple of weeks left until school starts. We found almost nothing within 3 miles of campus. There were some options further out, but nothing was cheaper than $1,200 for a shared room. And that was in an old house with window AC units and 5 miles from campus. That's not too far though. When the house was being renovated, my uncle had central air and heating installed. We came to a rent price of $1,300 and placed ads in several places, including Facebook. Within an hour, I got a dozen messages. It's 4 p.m. now, and I literally have over 100 messages. Many of them don't even need to see the house in person. Based off of the pictures and location, they want to submit their application today. Some even offered to send me the deposit, and one person said her dad will pay me the full semester amount today. My uncle gave me some advice that was exactly what you guys said. Never mix money with friends or I might lose both, and never tell anybody my business. He told me not to lie, just keep quiet. Thanks again and have a great weekend, you wonderful people. So I agree with the never tell anybody your business, but if they're your friends, you shouldn't have to hold that.
Yeah.
That's how I think.
Yeah. And I think because the reason why I said like, if you're not sure if you trust them yet, I'm thinking about that because I'm older now. But realistically, most times when you are younger, you kind of do trust people like off the bat. And only because of certain things happening, that's when you get trust issues. So I feel like after going through stuff in your teen years, in your 20s is kind of like the trust issue era, So yeah, they probably just didn't have any trust issues with each other. And yeah, but there's no way to really tell when you're younger, like, do I really trust these people unless you were raised like, because sometimes families be like, you could never know if you could trust a friend, stuff like that. Right. So yeah.
Okay, so next story. Am I the asshole for refusing to call my friend by her name, Queen? With parentheses. I mean, with quotation marks. With parentheses.
Queen. Okay, let's see.
My partner's friend, 25 female, socially changed her name from the name her mom gave her to a name she chose for herself.
Okay. Queen Elizabeth. Like when kids are like, I'm Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, it's like, my name's not Michelle. My name is Frankenstein. And you're like, okay, fine, be Frankenstein. Yeah. She is cisgender, by the way. Her name change is due to her wanting to reinvent herself. And her new name, Queen, reflects how she thinks of herself and how she wants others to see her.
Okay.
Her social media usernames and profiles reflect her new name, and people she's met in the past few years call her by the name she's introduced herself as. I'd be glad to support her in the autonomy she seeks by naming herself, but the issue is that she wants everyone to call her Queen. Within the friend group, I noticed that sometimes her old friends slip up and call her by her given name, but you can see that it doesn't sit well with her and that being dead named bothers her. Sometimes she'll politely correct, but not within larger groups. Sometimes her friends self-correct and call her Queen. Since Queen and King are used as terms of praise, reverence, and endearment, I am very hesitant to call this person Queen. I simply don't feel that way about her.
You're not a fucking queen. You're not my queen. You're not my president.
You don't rule over me. You can't control me. That says, if she tells a funny joke or I'm fondly greeting her, it's easy to call her Queen. It just doesn't feel like a name to me. It feels more like a title. I don't feel right calling my peer Queen. If she were to change her name to a name that means queen, like Reina, I wouldn't experience any unease with calling her such. I avoid using any name to refer to her. If I do use a name, I try to say queen, but if I'm not in a good mood or I'm annoyed with her, I don't bring myself to say it. I asked if I could call her Q, and she said no, my name is Queen. Perhaps I would feel differently if it were a stage name. Okay. And then I will read this edit because it's not an update. She just says, edit. In the original post, I referred to the person as a friend. Mm-hmm. More accurately, they are my partner's friend. I do appreciate the replies that address how a friend should treat a friend in this situation. Okay.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Is she asking if she's the asshole?
Yeah, because she doesn't want to call her this new name that she has given herself.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think she's a little bit of the asshole because if the friend is saying, like, I want to be called queen, like, as just a name, then she's not necessarily putting herself, like, on a pedestal, you know? I feel like unless she was like, hey, call me queen and your highness. Right. Like, I feel like if there was a power play at hand and she was like trying to feel like better than her friends and stuff, right, that would count. Right. But if she just wants to be named queen, like how many of us wanted to be referred to as a princess?
Girl, if I could have worn a tiara every day, I would have.
Like, I feel like because it was queen and not princess, right? I think maybe that's why she had a problem with it. But it could also be a misunderstanding on OP's part, right? Because she probably thinks that her friend wants to feel superior, you know? But if that's not the case and you just feel like weird about it, maybe because, okay, this is going to be a long shot. This might be a reach.
Go ahead. Because I think we're on the same page.
This might be a reach, but if you see that your friend wants to reinvent herself and feel good about herself, then why are you feeling weird about that?
So that's how I feel. Okay. I feel like if this was my actual friend and she changed her name to Queen, I would just call her Queen. Yes. Because I feel like when people typically are going through a thing where they're trying to reinvent their identity or figure out their identity or, learning about symbolism or the meaning of names or taking these type of like routes to identify themselves, it's because they probably were going through a period of like low self-esteem. Exactly. So it's like now they're trying to come into their own like personal power and sense of self and build their self-confidence. So I think the queen term is her thinking she's feeling like she's above people, but there's nothing wrong with feeling like you're a queen in your own life. Like saying I am powerful is not saying I hold power over anyone or I want to. It is saying I recognize my own personal strengths and I want to love and celebrate that on a daily basis. And maybe it's because she's feeling like, well, because we have to call her queen, and this is a title that you give to someone, which I probably would feel that way about a stranger that just came up to me and was kind of like, no, my name is Queen. I would feel like, bitch, you're not my queen. But that's because I don't know them or their intentions. Right. So off the bat, I'm going to feel a little like, I need to know you. But if you're my friend, I would never think that would be your intention. Because again, just like the other one, you wouldn't be my friend if I couldn't trust that your intention was good towards me. Yeah. Or I couldn't feel like you were really my friend. So if my friend wanted to do that, I would just be like, you know what? I like that for you. I like it.
Yeah, sure. It would take some time to adjust.
Because you're just used to calling them the old.
Yeah. Yeah. But it could be partial insecurity on OP's part because, when you have someone doing something different than you and like trying to, like I said, reinvent themselves or whatever. Because all of us being young, like we all had like hella insecurities. So like me, I went through a period where I didn't like my name, my first name. And for some, like, why does that happen?
I think it's because I feel the same, like as a kid, and not to make it racial, but as a kid growing up in like a predominantly Black communities, no one was named Michelle. So I didn't want the name Michelle. I'm like, Michelle.
Exactly.
Like, why would my mom name me that?
Right.
But I think once I got older and then realized I was barely meeting people named Michelle, and mainly due to age too. Like I think it was slightly an older name. So it was like, there's a uniqueness in that I don't meet a lot of people with this name.
Yeah.
And then I always liked that my initial was E. And so then it spelled out M-E. So then it was easy to just go by me.
Right.
And then I had a sense of, okay, her going by Queen, but like in work when we had to sign our initials, or like I used to work at the bank, we had to have like if we were printing, you had to have your own personal name to print under for security reasons. So I would just do M-E. So that everyone at work just started calling me Me. And I used to always joke and be like, it's all about me. And so it was the same as her Queen, where it's like you are, in a sense, creating this sense of like, you are being a little bit of a diva or something, but it's not to assert yourself over other people. It's just to reclaim your own personal identity and power within yourself, and be proud of who you are and have a sense of self-confidence. And I think because it's hard to be confident in today's society, like, and just, it's just hard to have confidence. It's hard to be self-assured. So unfortunately, sometimes when other people are displaying confidence, it can make people feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
But I didn't want to take away from you, but I did the same, where it was like, we all did not like our names.
Like, why was my name spelled like that? Like that, I don't know. It's so weird what you go through, but like, then I went through a period of only wanting people to call me by my middle name, Ashanti, because I just thought it was sassier. But I did not have the courage to push it.
Yeah.
If I did at such a young age, I feel like people would have. Yeah. But I'm not at a place anymore where I prefer another name, because in my 20s, I was like, actually, I really like my name. And not a lot of people are named Amina, you know? Right. So, but yeah, there was definitely a period where I was like, I'm just daydreaming about people calling me Ashanti. Like, oh, I wish people would call me this. And it's so sassy. Like on my emails, like my email would be like Ashanti something, you know, like I really like my middle name.
Yes.
But like, that's why I resonate with that girl, because I'm like, if I had the push to tell people like, call me Ashanti, it probably would have happened.
Right.
And she's making that happen. And I love that for her.
That. Me too. I also feel like, it's funny because before I found this Reddit story, I swear I was in my suite and I was thinking about, like, I really like the singer Prince. And I was thinking about how him and just other artists in general will literally, well, he didn't change his name. His actual first name is Prince, but I never knew that. I used to think when I was younger that was just like his singer name, but that's his real.
Oh, it's his real name.
That's his real given name.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, wow, you know, artists and singers will literally just make up a name.
Yeah.
And that is who they are. And I'm like, that's so scary, because when I think about, or I've met people, I remember I had a friend in like elementary school and her mom legally changed her name. And it was something like, I think it was something in Swahili, but I can't remember. So she changed her name, and I was thinking about that, thinking about artists, and I'm like, people will be so comfortable calling you a name and you're just used to it. So you'll just be complicit with it. But then to just be like, I don't care about that. I'm going to have people call me something completely different.
Yeah.
To me, that is so powerful, because it's just,
it is. I agree.
I couldn't imagine anyone calling me something different, because I'm comfortable, and not saying they're not comfortable, but being comfortable with change is powerful.
Yes.
Because change is very difficult. And I was just thinking about that. I'm like, dang, that's crazy.
And it's also kind of like a not really like an alter ego, but kind of like an alter ego, because I feel like, especially with like singers, rappers, whatever, they were not born knowing that they were going to be like a rapper or the person that they were going to be. Right. So like you live this whole life being a certain person, and then once you get to this age, you're like, I'm actually not who I was. Right. So this is who I am. Right. Not necessarily erasing your name, because, you know, it's still their name legally. Right. But it's cool to have an alter ego and to embrace that. Right. And I wouldn't even say, I agree with that. And I wouldn't even say alter ego. I would say maybe they're just aligning themselves with who they are authentically. Because when it comes to art in all forms, whether it's dance, singing, painting, writing, poetry, whatever, that is a form of self-expression. So it's like, that is how some people can fully and authentically create and express who they are. So to find a name that embodies your self-expression and your artistry is powerful. Yep. So I love it. And same with you. I actually didn't like my middle name because I always thought the reasonings for it was dumb. Because, okay, so my mom named my middle name Marin because, you know, I was born and raised in Oakland, California, Bay Area. And when she had me, she was living in Marin County and she loved that county. So that's why she named my middle name Marin. And I used to just think that was dumb. Like, you just lived there and picked it, until I got older and realized like that was a time in her life that she had the most security and the most comfort. And, you know, I was her first daughter. And then it's a beautiful city. Like, there was water and she always loved going to the beach. And so I was going to say Marin is like marine. Like, and literally, and it means the word Marin means one of the sea. Beautiful. And so I'm like, that's why she chose it, because she just loved that place. You are a mermaid. And that was a good... And girl, I love the water. I am one of the sea. Perfect. Like, I love the water. And it wasn't until I got older and I just like to play on letters. So you remember when I started doing makeup, I did the Michelle Marin makeup. Yes. That was strictly just because I liked all the M's in a row. So it was like, Michelle Marin makeup. But so cute. Yeah, it took time, and there's nothing wrong with her figuring out who she is. And so OP, a little bit of the asshole. She is, but Reddit deemed her not the asshole. What? And this is because we talked about this before, and Redditors have this thing, or people online have this thing of wanting to humble people because they feel like we live in an era that everyone is obsessed with main character energy. I believe there are people who are self-absorbed, of course, but I believe we're just experiencing a lot of people coming from being insecure and having low self-esteem to trying to find themselves, embrace their identity, and have some type of confidence. Because there should be nothing wrong with feeling confident. Like, of course, there's always a middle ground. You know, like I don't believe that someone should be cocky and feeling like they're above others. But if you're literally just trying to improve yourself so that way you can be stronger in this world where there's a whole bunch of overly confident assholes, like real assholes, like, and assholes who know when someone else isn't confident. Like, we also have to remember, people prey on people who are not confident. Yes. So if you go out into the world and you give that energy, which I have in my past, people can immediately identify it and play that. Yeah. So no, like, you should definitely work on your confidence, whether it's changing your name or whatever it is. Like, you should be able to do that. I agree 100% with you. You hit that on the nail. Now, what the hell is Reddit saying? I was about to find it. So, top comment says, I'm going to get... Oh, okay. No, never mind. Okay. I thought this was one saying that they were the asshole, because there is a couple that do say that. But no, this is a top comment, and it says, I'm going to get downvoted for this, but not the asshole.
And they didn't get downvoted for this. This was very much a popular opinion.
Okay.
Changing one's name to queen or king or anything else that obviously signals one's belief in their own superiority over other people, and then demanding that people address you by that name is an inherently asshole move. It's so gross and absolutely reeks of narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
If any of my friends ever did this, I would honestly be so turned off by it that I would most likely stop being friends with them. Blech.
You know,
the look when I look up and see your face, like
no, I didn't know where that was going. Because you were like, this is like the most popular one.
And they were deemed not the asshole. But he was saying like, I'm going to get downvoted for this. But he got upvoted and pretty much almost 20K people agreed with that.
But the context of the story is not showing that she wants to feel superior.
Right.
And okay. I also feel like not to make it about race,
right,
but there could be a cultural difference as well.
I agree.
Because in the Black community, and I will also say Latino community, like we call each other like yes, queen and stuff like that. And it's not to give superiority. It's to say you are a queen and you're a queen and everyone is a queen. And I think that people who are not used to hearing that, they think like, oh, who do you are? Like, who do you think you are?
Above me?
Queen Elizabeth? No. Like, so there may also be a cultural difference in play because I don't see who would have a problem with that. It's the same thing with like princess or even like other smaller things like diamond or, you know, like, you know, stuff like that. So I think there could be a little bit of a cultural difference.
I agree with that. And the reason why I agree with that is because in OP's post, they were saying that they wouldn't have minded if the person, their friend or acquaintance, was named something like Reina in Spanish, which means queen. So it's like even in Spanish or in other cultures, they will name someone queen.
Yeah.
So
or they'll refer to the person like a term of endearment, like mi reina, like my queen, like.
So I do think, so another person, I'm not going to try to find their comment, but basically they were like, this is basically the same thing this person said, but also being like, because monarchs suck, and, you know, kind of referring to England and the Queen of England and how, you know, the stuff she did. That is why I believe there's that cultural difference, because people are associating what they have seen from monarchy. But like you said, in Black, Latino, and other ethnic or other communities, people are already naming people this because they want their child to, there's the power in those names. They want you to embrace those feelings. They want you to embrace that title because that is your own personal power. You know, it's not asserting yourself over someone. She's not saying she's the queen of you.
No,
she's the queen of her own life. We are all the queen and kings of our own lives, my brothers. Like, I need my little hat. Like,
keep focused, my brothers. Like,
but we all are.
Like literally years
life.
ago in my early 20s, like it's still on there now, like on my Facebook, like I put queen of my own world.
Because you are the queen of your own world.
And that was around the time when I was working on my self-confidence, you know, and really feeling like, you know, I'm in control of my life and what I do. So that's what I want to refer to myself as.
Period.
But that comment was a huge reach. Like, I cannot believe that somebody said that. But
and 20K people, basically, well, 19K agreed with them. Somebody said, OP, you could call her your heinousness, I think.
So they purposefully didn't put your highness?
Yes, but like tried to say it like your heinousness. That's such a weird word.
But why? Did they say why?
Yeah, they're just being like, these are all the people agreeing with the popular comment.
The context of if the context of the story was that she wanted to feel superior, okay, fine. But the context is not there, so we can't jump to conclusions.
Right. And then people are like, if it was her birth name, it would be less weird. But why? So, because that would be the same as her parents bestowing upon her this title of queen. So why is it different if her parents did it or if she did it herself? Like,
bestowing,
it's the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but pretty much all of the comments are saying that. I think I read one slightly top comment, but it's not even worth reading because that top comment had, like I said, 19K upvotes, and the one that I read maybe had like 100 or 200. So we and those people are in the very minority under this thread of our view.
Wow.
And like you said, I that you hit that on the nail. I do think it's a cultural difference.
Yeah. So unfortunately, OP's the asshole.
So this one is, and Reddit didn't give this one a verdict, so we can be the judges today.
Hey.
Am I the asshole for sleeping with my friend's hall pass? Hall pass.
Hall pass.
I, 49 female, have been friends with Sarah, 49 female, for about 15 years. She's happily married with 2 kids. I'm amicably, is that how you say that?
I think so.
Amicably? That's so weird. Amicably. Amicably.
Amicably.
Why is that so weird? That sounds right. Amicably. It's like my tongue didn't know what to do. Amicably.
Yeah.
I don't like that word. I'm divorced with a kid.
Happily divorced.
Why would she even put that in there? Trying to be fancy.
Oh my God.
Tie me up.
Silly.
We met at our children's preschool. We've been there for each other through some tough times. Sarah has a huge crush on, I'll call him Jake, as long as I've known her. Jake is a popular, but not like stadium-filling musician. From what I can tell, he makes a living, has had popular albums, and has toured with some A-listers, but he's not necessarily a household name. He's in his late 40s. Sarah has never met him. She's been to several of his concerts and owns a bunch of merch and considers Jake her hall pass. Again, she's married and would never actually cheat on her husband. Honestly, her crush never seemed off the rails to me. Like, she'd joke about him wooing her through IG, but she didn't like stalk him. So let me say here, I would never, even when I was younger, date or even flirt with a guy a friend of mine liked / was interested in. Fries before guys, friends before men, all that. It just wouldn't be cool. However, a few weeks ago, I randomly met Jake at a charity event. He was hired as the entertainment. We got to talking and one thing led to another and I ended up sleeping with him. It was a one-time thing, fun, and we both knew it was casual. At first, I thought it was a funny, wild story to share with Sarah. After all, it's not like she would ever actually be with him, right? But when I told her, she looked really hurt. She wasn't mad exactly, but she said something like, "Wow, I can't believe you actually did that." And she's been distant ever since. I didn't think the friends before men rule applied here because he was basically her movie star crush, not a real romantic prospect for her. But now I'm second guessing everything. I feel awful for upsetting her, but I genuinely didn't think it was that big of a deal. Now I'm wondering, am I the asshole? And then I'll read the edit. Well, I'll read the edit now. Okay. So a lot of people in the comments were trying to guess who it was. I don't know any of these people, and I think it's a generational thing for both of us. So edit, OMFG. No, it was not Dave Grohl. If you know who Dave Grohl is, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, because I don't know who that is.
Me neither. I never sleep with a married guy. That's just vile. Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, he was in effing Nirvana and is Foo Fighters, not exactly the type to play small corporate gigs. Right.
So he was in Nirvana?
No, the guy, well, yeah, the guy Dave Grohl is. He was in Nirvana and Foo Fighters.
Oh, okay.
But she's like, the guy I'm talking about, he's not that popular, you know?
Okay.
So I wonder why they would even guess that guy. Was it Kevin Jonas? Like, no, I'm just playing.
Like,
Did you like Jonas Brothers?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I had a crush on the
Nick, the younger
Yeah,
one?
yeah, the
Me
younger
too.
one. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I used to fangirl over him.
Yeah.
That
he
was like
really
the
cute.
early days of YouTube, and I used to like be on there watching their music videos. Like,
Yeah.
they were really cute.
Yeah.
Second edit. Obligatory. Is that word?
What is it?
Obligatory. Obligatory.
Obligatory?
Obligatory? Is that?
Yeah.
That's
I think because they're saying like a mandatory, right?
Yeah, obligatory.
Yeah, obligatory.
Obligatory. I'm just gonna say that.
Right.
Obligatory.
Tomato.
Tomato. Can't believe this blew up and really enjoying the guesses. Got together with Sarah yesterday and we'll post a longer update after work. I'll save that update. Okay. So, what do you think? Is she the asshole?
This one is juicy.
I know.
Okay. Because I'm very much I'm very much a girl's girl too. Like I even feel like I don't care if you like this person 10 years ago.
Same.
Like you either got to get full permission or don't even think about it.
Same.
Period. But we're talking about a celebrity.
And her friend is married.
Like, okay. Okay. It's just funny because Dustin listens to all our episodes.
Okay.
But, you know, we all have celebrity crushes. Okay. And I feel like if I have a celebrity crush, right? And my close friend, and this is just me, and my close friend hits that, I'll be like,
same. Literally.
High five.
Literally same.
I'm like, how was it?
Same. When she was saying this, I was literally thinking, if this was my friend, plus I was married and this was a celebrity, even if I wasn't married, but my friend was just better in these circles and was with this guy, I want to know all the details. How was it? How long was it? How long did it last? What did it look like? What all did you guys do? I want from the start to the finish, did you record it? And can I watch the video? You can blur emojis if you want to, but I want to see the video. Show me right now on the iPad, on the TV. Like, let's mirror TV, your phone to the TV. I want to see it on a 70-inch.
Screen share.
Screen share. I want to see this. I want to see.
Oh my God.
Volume on high because I want to hear. What does he say? He said that? I want all the details. So she's tripping.
Totally. Like, yeah, that girl is tripping. You are married. You have no business thinking that, one, you would either have a shot, or two, thinking like your friends shouldn't like shoot their shot or whatever because you are married. Like, that's really weird.
And he's just
like,
a crush. She's not, and you're married and you're not a cheater.
Girl,
I love your husband and are happily married.
I could think about all the crushes that I've ever had, and it would be so weird to feel jealous about that. Like, that's not your person. Like, no, I think girl is tripping. I don't think OP is the asshole. Your loyalty is to your husband, regardless of how fine you think another celebrity is. Your loyalty is to him. You should never be jealous over another man when you are married, unless it was like a past love.
Yeah.
Okay. If it was a past love and your friend hit that and didn't tell you, then that's completely different.
Yeah. Because it's not about the jealousy or you getting back. It's about the principle.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, even if you just liked this person or whatever and your friend didn't tell you, that's still weird.
Right.
Celebrities are not yours to claim.
Exactly.
If anything, like not calling like all celebrities whores, but you don't know if a lot of them are already community dick.
Exactly.
Or community vagina.
Exactly.
So it's like, there's no point in
feeling that
way. And it could just be that she was jealous.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like...
That's what it was.
I feel like the husband gotta up his game or something, because how can you're not saying it's his fault. Mm-hmm. It's not his fault. Mm-hmm. But how could you feel jealous about that if you were happy at home?
He better be whoever this man is. Have you seen those like Aaron Pierre? That's Mufasa.
Yes.
Pierre.
That's Mufasa. Yeah.
But then like all the husbands doing it and being like, we got Mufasa at home. That's what her husband needs to do.
Wait, I don't get it.
So like being like, you don't need to watch and drool over this Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa video, because I'm going to make the video and be Aaron Pierre at home.
Okay.
Like we got Mufasa at home.
Okay.
So whoever this man is that she likes, her husband needs to be like, we have such and such at home, and bring it to the bedroom.
Yeah. and of course, not saying it's the husband's fault. He's probably a great guy, but sometimes men, they be saying stuff like this too, like, oh, well, if he's not satisfied at home, then I'm not surprised that he was looking at somebody, you know? So it's like, if she's feeling jealous that you hit her fave.
And she's just probably, I don't know, being weird towards her friend.
Yeah.
Being jealous. And
because it's a celebrity, and sometimes people can feel weird and really jealous if somebody else gets to sleep with a celebrity or know a celebrity. Like people, and then we misunderstand sometimes because we're regular, normal people. Some people are really obsessed with celebrities. Yeah. Like I have cousins who know celebrities, and I know that if other people if they knew weird people and they saw that they knew these celebrities, they would probably do whatever they could to be friends with my cousins just so that way they can get a chance. Right. People are so weird. Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. Cloud chasing, idolizing. People are very weird. Yeah.
So Reddit didn't give them a verdict, but we can and say that she's not the asshole.
Yes, not the asshole.
Good for her. She had her little fun time.
Yes.
So I will read her edit, and then I will read one of the comments. Okay. So she says, got together with Sarah yesterday and will post a longer update after work. Things are going to be okay with us. Maybe a touch weird for a bit, but okay. Showing her this post helped because some people were able to express things that we were individually thinking, but more articulately, and had a huge amount of laughs at people's guesses. Jake from State Farm, as if anyone but Flo could pull that. So thank you all for being a part of us figuring this out. 2 people did name the guy in a couple low-rated comments, which kind of surprised me. Like I said, he's not a household name, and I thought the details I gave were enough for context, but broad enough to not nail it. Reddit, you guys were good. So
people be on the internet, like they be like FBI.
Yes.
Because like, how you figure that out?
How did you figure that out? And I didn't even scroll through because it's just a lot of comments.
Too much.
One person said, so most of the comments, no one gave their input. And I think that's why I didn't have a rating. Everyone was literally in here trying to guess who it was. So.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I just saw this one. It's just like one person's like, one regular human martini, please. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll move on.
Okay.
The next story. Am I the asshole for telling my friend she couldn't bring her kid to my child-free birthday dinner?
Here we go.
Reddit didn't give them a verdict either. So on this one also, we are the judges.
Right.
I, 29 female, recently hosted a birthday dinner at a nice restaurant with a group of close friends. It was meant to be small, child-free evening, nothing wild, just a quiet, adult-only dinner with good food and conversation. I made it clear on the invite this was an adults-only event so that everyone could plan accordingly. One of my friends, Laura, 31 female, has a 3-year-old daughter. When I first set out the invite, she asked if she could bring her child since she didn't have a babysitter. I sympathized but told her that unfortunately, I really wanted to keep this an adult-only event, and I totally understood if she couldn't make it. She said she'd figure something out and never brought it up again. Fast forward to the night of the dinner. Everyone is arriving at the restaurant and Laura walks in holding her daughter's hand. I was immediately caught off guard but tried to stay calm. I pulled her aside and asked, "Hey, I thought we talked about this. I really wanted this to be child-free." She shrugged and said, "Yeah, but I couldn't find a sitter and I didn't want to miss your birthday." At this point, I was frustrated but still trying to be polite. I told her I understood, but I didn't think it was fair to the rest of the guests who had also made arrangements for childcare, expecting an adult environment. I asked her to leave and come back another time to celebrate separately. She got upset and said I was being ungrateful and ridiculous, and her child was well behaved and wouldn't cause any trouble. But the whole point was the principle of the thing. I had set a boundary and she ignored it. Laura ended up leaving in a huff, and later she sent me a long text about how I humiliated her in front of our friends and made her feel like a bad mom for bringing her daughter. A couple of our friends think I overreacted and should have just let her stay. Others agreed that it was unfair for her to put me in that position. Now I feel torn. I didn't want to make a scene, but I also feel like I shouldn't have to justify a boundary I was clear about from the start. Am I the asshole for making her leave when she showed up with her kid?
You see, with stuff like this, I try not to jump too quickly to like not the asshole, because I don't want people to think like I'm an asshole. Like I would just, like
right, because we're both child free. Like, well, you don't understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Be a parent.
Yeah, and if I really care about someone, it would be extremely hard for me to be honest.
Yeah,
because I don't consider myself a people pleaser anymore.
Right,
but what is it that Charlotte says? Recovering people pleaser. So because I'm in recovery, there can be some characteristics sprinkled every now and then.
Right.
And I feel like in a public setting, I'm around everyone that I love. I feel like I would have not had the guts to kick her out for the sake of peace and if I really loved that friend. But then afterwards, I think it would have been a problem, because then I really don't like when people put their loved ones in that position. And I feel like she did put her friend in a position to not say anything to her. Like, you just showed up with your kid and didn't even text like, hey,
right,
whatever. Like this is the same thing with child-free weddings. Like, because I'm on Threads a lot and I see so many comments of people being like, if your wedding is child-free, then I'm just going to decline the invitation. Like, I don't even know why you would send me that invitation. And it's like, do you know how many people show up with their kids still? And then you'll be saying your vows like, I've always loved you. And then you hear, like, come on. Like,
or the little coughs that be like this. Pat that baby on the back and let's keep it moving.
Girl,
like,
right? But there are a lot of videos that show kids ruining receptions and parties. So it's like, how are you going to act like that stuff doesn't happen? And I understand having a well-behaved child, you kind of feel like, well, they understand that they're well-behaved,
right.
But that is still something that you should run by somebody. And if they don't accept it, no. Like even with, like when I have Sophia and I have like a lash appointment, I let my lash tech know like, hey, yeah, sure, she's 9,
right,
but she's very well behaved,
right,
doesn't run everywhere or whatever. Is it okay?
Right.
I don't believe that you should just bring your kids somewhere.
Right.
So I can't call OP the asshole for kicking her out because she set a boundary and the friend trespassed it. And not only that, didn't even let her know that she didn't have arrangements
That's my point. I feel like I agree with everything you said. Because I care about my friend and, she couldn't find an arrangement and I wanted her there. But if you asked me over text and I told you no, and then you didn't even say, well, I can't, I can't get a babysitter, and you just show up, you tried to force my hand.
Exactly.
And just being 100% honest, I would not be able to be myself and have fun at my party because I would be feeling so much of a type of way, but also again, trying to keep the peace for everyone else. So literally it would just turn into me being at my own birthday dinner.
Or if that baby better not make any peep of noise because I will look directly at you like.
It's like.
Or at the kid, like, shut up, you little.
Literally giving them the booty hole lip. I saw this post and it was like, why did moms used to do that like silly stuff to us? And it was actually scary.
Right.
And when you think about it, it was weird. Like my mom would be on the phone and if I was making too much noise, she'd just be like, like no noise, just teeth. Like,
yeah. Sophia laughs at that all the time.
Because it is kind of weird. Like,
yeah.
I saw somebody was like, what if it's like primal and like how animals show their teeth to intimidate you? But that makes it even more funny that as humans, we still be like, I'm going to show you my teeth. Like,
that did make it funny.
Yeah, it's like, put the teeth away. You're not intimidating anybody.
Oh my God.
But no, that was scary as a kid. These new kids are different.
Yeah.
Sophia be laughing because when my mom did it, I'm in the living room like playing and she gave me them teeth. And literally I would be like.
I mean, she laughs at it now because she's not really at an age where like if you make faces like that, like she's more of at an age where like you have to have a serious conversation with her.
Okay.
Not just be like, get over here. Like she is older. So like when I do it to her, it's after she does something annoying and she knows it's annoying. And then I'm just like, you better stop it right now. She just laughs. So it's funny. It's more of like a meme. But back in the day, it was not a meme.
No, it was
real. Yeah.
The teeth served their purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. The warning now I could think about is monkeys when they do that, like
or dogs.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
But I feel like, I would have hated to have been in that predicament as OP. Yeah. I could not. Have you ever been so upset or so in your feelings, but you didn't want to express it in the moment? And
of course.
It's like nothing is funny anymore. Nothing is funny. The food doesn't taste good. I don't want to chit chat. Yeah. I don't want to dilly dally. I don't want to yap. I just want to sulk, and it's not intentional. It's like, have you ever tried to force it? Like try to force talk through the anger, and it feels like when people get those veins in their forehead. Yeah. It almost feels like that wants to pop out. Like you just want to be like. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna explode. I'm not okay because you did some weird stuff. So I would have hated to have been OP in that moment.
And I feel like forcing your friend's hand is incredibly disrespectful. Yes. You don't care about how your friend feels.
Yes.
If you force your friend's hand, or even family member at that, because with family members, they tend to be more comfortable and they tend to pass boundaries even more. Yeah. If you force anybody's hand, you simply just did not respect anything that they told you.
Yes. You don't. Like literally you were at home getting that baby dressed and being like, I know she told me, but I'm just going to show up anyways and she'll be all right. Like that was calculated.
Yeah. She got the baby dressed. She got herself dressed.
And then you walked in with the baby and was smiling at me like this. Look, you're like, hey. The whole time you're literally trying to peep if I'm upset or not.
And what if she didn't even try to arrange any plans?
She just was like, I'm just going to show up and do what I want to do because it is what it is.
Because some, not trying to be like, all mothers do this, so I'm not saying that. But because of the comments that I have read on the internet, some moms believe that they are entitled to bring their child anywhere. Yeah. Because that's their child. Yeah. And they know their child best and they know what's best for them. And, they do feel like their child is an extension of them.
Yeah.
So they need to bring them everywhere they go.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they are not,
Yeah.
but children can be in the way of things sometimes. And do you really, not saying like the birthday dinner was all crazy and stuff, but do you really want them to be around like alcohol, or like the same thing with weddings? Like, do you really want your children to be around a bunch of drunk people? And I know like my niece and Dustin's two nieces, who were the flower girls, the only children allowed, they were with each other, and, you know, they were all very well behaved, and they weren't paying us adults no mind. They were dancing and stuff. But just imagine a ton of other kids.
I've been to weddings like that. I've been to a lot of weddings like that. I will tell you about that after this. But I've been to a lot of weddings like that, and the kids, like on multiple occasions, trashed the bathrooms in the hall, because I vividly remember being a kid and making, I don't even know what they're called. Were they called water balls or paper balls, where you would take tissue and wet them and throw them up on the ceiling? Did you ever do that?
Heck yeah.
So
that was fun.
That was fun. So these kids would be in the bathroom. You would go into the bathroom at these nice halls and see tissue on the ceilings.
No.
And I'm not exaggerating this. I'm not being that person. You know, when people feel like chronically online make stuff up to fit their narrative. No, this is cold, hard truth, facts I saw with my own eyes, not once, not twice, but multiple weddings I have gone to where there were lots of kids. They would flood the sinks, like throwing a bunch of tissue in the sinks.
God, yes.
Flood the toilets. Like the bathrooms would literally be like you were in SeaWorld, because there was just so much water everywhere. It was ridiculous.
Having a ton of kids in one area is always going to be chaos, because there's no such thing as having 30 kids somewhere and they're all well behaved. No such thing.
There's no such thing.
Even when I was younger and there would be like events and stuff, like at the mosque that we used to go to, they had 3 floors.
Just sandals everywhere.
No, listen to this, right? There was 3 floors where the men were, the women were, and then they had like a basement area where all the kids used to play. And it was great. It was a fun time. But guess what? If we were not down there doing our craziness, we would be up there doing the craziness. And I remember one time, it was so much fun. Like, they were doing the same paper ball thing, like in the bathroom and stuff. So you saw all this water everywhere. And then, there was kind of like a sewage problem going on. So they saw like a couple of roaches, you know, like it wasn't a dirty area, but they were fixing something. Right. So then, you know, my sister at the time, she was fearless. So she picked up a roach and was chasing the kids. She was chasing all the kids. Oh, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. I was always crafty. You know, my mom did that for us. So I made a paper airplane and was just, you know, flying it around, and all the kids were like, oh, I want a paper airplane. So I was the paper airplane girl where they just kept bringing me papers and I was doing the thing. Girl, it was a paper airplane basement. It was roaches, paper airplanes, and wads of wet tissue everywhere.
Girl, kids are chaotic. And
it was chaos.
That was pure chaos. And I feel like that parents, specifically moms, because a lot of times moms are the main caregivers, they tend to, I think once you have kids, it's almost like you forget what it was like to be a kid. And I say that to say, it's like you forget to be a kid. So that is why you don't understand the extent of like what kids really do when they're alone. I don't know how else to put it. Like when kids are alone, when there are a lot of kids together, because they have so much energy, and I'm not shitting on kids. I'm not shitting on moms. I love kids, but I think there's this thing of thinking child-free people are just selfish.
Yes.
And I think now the internet is shifting towards realizing like sometimes parents can be insufferable when it comes to their own kids. Absolutely. There's a sense of entitlement. Also, too, I think she wanted her adult-free party because if there's a kid there, you can't really talk how you want to talk. Adult themes are going to come up, and you shouldn't have to censor yourself because the kid shouldn't have been there. It's an adult party, period.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't think that she's the asshole
Me neither.
for kicking her friend out.
Me neither.
I don't think that that's something that could end a friendship necessarily.
Mhm.
Like, only if she doesn't like apologize or
Mhm.
see where she was wrong. Because if she did that one time, then who knows what else? Like, is she going to bring her child to the wedding if there is one?
Right. She really does owe her friend an apology. She does.
Yeah.
She does. And I think she did mention that she has some friends that were on her side and she has some that says she overreacted.
Mhm.
But those are people who are uncomfortable with confrontation.
Yes.
Because they feel like, oh, that was so awkward. But it's like,
Mhm.
it was only awkward because her friend made it awkward by overstepping a boundary.
Exactly.
Not OP.
Exactly.
So top comment with 5K upvote says, not the asshole. A boundary is only as strong as your willingness to enforce it. And you did
Mhm.
exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. And if you're still here and you're still listening, stay to the very end because that is the juiciest. Juiciest story.
Oh my God.
I'm talking long watermelon on an August day, juicy.
I like how you emphasize like the long watermelon.
Because those
like,
ones are always so
specifically-
juicy. Are so juicy.
Oh my God.
You're like, am I drinking water right now?
right. Right.
Am I hydrated for the rest of the week? Girl, your belly be
Yes.
full as hell.
Oh, good old days. Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Soon.
Couple more months. So speaking of that, I would love to like go down south and get like, I just feel like down south probably has like the best watermelon farmers.
Imagine.
I want to go like down south, like deep country
Mm-hmm.
where I can barely understand what they're saying.
Because we're in the city where almost everything is imported.
Yeah.
Like nothing. Like I don't really know what's grown here in Michigan if there is anything.
I don't know. I think cherries in the summertime.
Okay.
I think they do have great cherries here.
Okay.
And that's all I know.
But
And I
other than
and I'm
that,
not shitting on Michigan. I just really don't know. But
I would love to go to Georgia and have a peach.
Girl!
Imagine the juiciest peaches are
Girl.
probably there.
Delicious. Very delicious. I bet. I want a peach and I want some watermelon.
Mhm.
The long ones.
Mhm.
Okay, so am I the asshole for telling my friends that it's not my problem they can't afford things?
Oh no. Oh crap.
These are some crazy friends. And I must say, side note really quick,
Mhm.
I think I personally haven't dealt with a lot of these situations.
Mhm.
One, I'm grateful I've had really good friends throughout the years. Don't get me wrong, I've had some
Yeah.
situations, but the good has always outweighed the bad.
Yes.
But the other one is as outgoing and sometimes as extroverted as I can be or be perceived or as friendly as I can be, I never really had a lot of friends. Like I always kept
Same.
a small
Same.
circle. And I think it's because I do worry about the weirdness that some people can just have within them. So,
Same.
and I'm not saying that's the best way to go. I do think there are people out here who can have larger groups of friends and networks and communities and they have good people. I think it's just the way that I'm wired.
Yeah.
That I've just preferred having a smaller group of close-knit friends that, you know, I feel more like their family.
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed.
So, because some of these are just like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
these are your friends?
Yeah.
Like-
Crazy.
No, literally. So, looking for some outside opinions on this instead of just hearing from people involved. I, 33 male in Australia, and my group of friends have been friends since high school. Once we graduated, many of my friends opted to skip a further education to instead work a job in the trade or dropped out and worked in a warehouse/factory. Some still don't have full-time jobs and just job hop between part-time work. Nothing against those jobs, but they were looking for an easy living and don't want to spend more time in school. I opted to go through university while at the same time I got lucky enough to work in the industry I was studying in. This helped me get a head start in my career. So when I graduated, I already had more experience than the average graduate. It also meant I was waking up at 5 a.m. every day for work and then going to university after and getting home 9 to 10 p.m. every day. Once I graduated and started working, I got a well-paying job, $80,000 annually. This was immediately more than what all of my friends were earning, and I immediately started hearing how I just got lucky with the job, completely ignoring the years of hard work I had already put in. Young me was just proud to show off my hard work to my friends, so I made the mistake of telling them my wage. Over the years, the comments died down, so I wasn't bothered by them too much anymore. Fast forward to last week, I had my friends over to my newly built home. As of today, I am single, no children or pets, and have drastically increased my wage, while also getting new certifications to keep up with my industry. I'm able to afford a lot of things without struggling, and I do consider myself fortunate. This was the first time my friends had seen the new house, and the comments started up again. How I'm able to afford a big new house, how I'm lucky, how all I do is sit around all day and get paid lots, and so on and so forth. I wanted to show my new achievement of the house. I wanted to show my new achievement of the house off, but it made me sour. The comments wouldn't stop, so I snapped, telling them it's not my fault. They were too lazy to try and make anything of themselves, and if they put in any level of effort, they wouldn't have to struggle to go out or buy things for themselves or keep working low-paying jobs. Even to this day, I'm still working and studying to get ahead, but they've barely changed jobs in the past 10 years. A couple of my friends left because they were angry. A few others stayed around and understood they weren't the ones making the comments. Things have been quiet in group chats, and plans for Christmas and New Year's Eve are up in the air. I'm thinking of apologizing to keep the peace, but one of my friends is suggesting I wait to see if they apologize. Am I the asshole? And there's no updates on that.
I think that I understand why he said that, because instead of being met with congratulations and I'm happy for you and all of these other things, he was met with comments that were clearly coming from like jealousy or insecurity, you know? And when you are consistently met with that, you should not be surprised when someone lashes out on you because you're not happy for them. Like, it's really not, but, and that's another thing. That was a conversation I was reading about. Like, people always want to say that these high achievers were lucky, you know, and, you know, they don't have to do anything right now to make money or whatever, but that may be the case, but only because everyone knows if you go for, most of the time, if you go for a high paying job or a high achieving job or degree or whatever, the main reason why so many people want to do that is because your labor is decreased.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. So not saying that they don't do anything, but they literally have to beat their own ass to do things for years, wake up at uncomfortable times, go to sleep hella late. They have to sacrifice a lot. And then they get to a place where their job, it may be a little bit of pressure and stuff like that, but eventually you get used to the job. You learn everything that you have to learn and you're comfortable, whether it's a high paying desk job, accountant, whatever. Like even so many people side eye, like tax preparers who are like doing it for 20 years or whatever and making a lot of money. Like, yeah, they're at their desk and they barely need to do anything, but how did they get there? You know? So I'm not saying what he said was right, but I understand, and I can't necessarily call him the asshole because none of his friends were supporting him. You know, at that point, it's like, you can have a conversation, but I don't think that you should start it by saying, I'm sorry first. You know, have the conversation with them and you can be like, you know, you guys have not given me any kind of support
Right.
You know, you're just comparing me to you, and, you know, I'm your friend. You know, so then if they apologize, it could be worked out.
Right.
But if his friends did not give him any kind of compliments because you want to share your accomplishments with your friends, people you care about, and then you should want them to share that with you too. So it's like, I can't really call him the asshole.
I agree.
You know,
I agree with you. So, Reddit rated him not the asshole as well.
Okay.
Top comment was not the asshole. And I agree actually a lot with this comment. So, not the asshole, but you handled yourself poorly. You should not have made any of the comment about them or their life choices. You should have responded with something like, "Hey man, you know I worked. Hey man.
Hey man.
Hey man. You know I also worked my ass off studying and getting good at doing my job. Yeah. Please don't discredit all my hard work and putting it purely on luck. Okay." Kind of hurtful much. So I think a lot of them are from Australia because of them being like,
yeah,
please don't discredit all my hard work and putting it purely on luck. Yeah. Kind of hurtful much. They should have floundered then, as there's no way out of them looking like an asshat, and you gave them nothing to complain about in turn. So I agree with that. But I also like how you said, understand that when people are constantly pushing your buttons, it's hard not to lash out. And we talked about this last time, when they go low.
Go to hell.
So something else though that I did think about is when someone reaches a lot of success, it is because they are hard workers, and you can't take that away from people. But also too, I think people are not always forthcoming or honest with their own privilege, and realizing like sometimes there are advantages or privileges that you may have had that helped you get to where you are. And that in itself shouldn't be ignored. And I think a lot of people will do that, especially in this country here in the US, where we have that whole saying of like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But a lot of people don't get to where they're at just by themselves. Like, it was a lot of things that were within their favor that helped them. So I do understand that point. And just because his friends aren't doing well doesn't necessarily make them lazy. And while there are people in this world that are lazy, for sure, a lot of people have things going on that makes it hard for them to get to where they're trying to go. And that's just life. It's unfair. But I think the word lazy gets thrown out a lot when sometimes it's not laziness. And I think an example of that would be like the show hoarders. And I feel like a lot of time those people get deemed as like, oh my God, they're so disgusting, or they're nasty, or they're so lazy. How can they do that? But when I had never watched it, when I actually sat and watched the show for the first time, and I'm not even trying to be dramatic, Mina knows me because we've been friends for 10 years. So you know that it is hard for me to flat out be vulnerable, even though I'm very sensitive. I was literally crying because I felt like that person, or a lot of those people, have like some severe mental illnesses that is preventing them. And a lot of times it's like someone close to them passed and they have an attachment to things, or
like it's so severe to the point where they're
just saving stuff, or like they've, maybe been really poor at one point in their life. So they're constantly saving things because they have an attachment to items. And it's not just black and white. Like, everything in this world is not black and white. There's a lot of gray areas. And sometimes the word laziness to me feels like a very harsh judgment or a black and white thing. And where is the empathy that like people be going through stuff? Sometimes people are depressed. They have anxiety. They have all types of issues that just makes it hard to be productive. A lot of issues that makes it hard to be productive. And again, I'm not saying that to discredit people that work hard. And I'm not even saying that if you have issues that make it hard to be productive, that gives you a right to look at someone else and be like, you're lucky. Because that doesn't give you that either.
Yeah.
If you do that, now that is black and white by saying you're just an asshole.
Yes.
And you are having issues of like jealousy and insecurity that you need to resolve within yourself. That's making you look at this person and have to try to diminish their achievements to make yourself feel better. And that's all it is. You're trying to alleviate the anxiety you have because you're not where you want to be.
Or the regret.
Regret.
Yeah.
But it's not their fault that you have whatever you have going on. It also is not fair that you have what you have going on. And I have sympathy for anyone that had a lot of circumstances that got in the way of them getting to where they are. But tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
You can always pick yourself up. And as long as you're alive, you can try your best. And as long as you try your best, to me, that is success.
Yes.
It's not measured by what you have. It's about you trying your best and you being happy within yourself. That's success to me. So
I agree. I will say there's so many factors that can contribute to why they didn't. Did he say why, or like was it his perception?
It was just his perception of like they didn't do this and they didn't go out and do that, or like they decided to work a trade or a factory versus like trying to work in a profession that he's working in. And, you know, and which are the trades and factories are still hard job. Yeah,
they're physically demanding most of the time. I will say that sometimes, and the only reason why I say this is because I've heard it before, where people, they don't want to do more because they are comfortable with where they're at.
Right.
And me and Dustin were having a conversation, and he was saying like, because I was saying like, women, you know, a lot of times they shouldn't settle for someone who just, you know, does bare minimum, whatever. He was like, although I agree, a lot of women need to understand that some men are okay with doing bare minimum. Right. They're okay with being whatever they are and not overachieving. They're okay with that. Right. So if you choose someone who is okay with that, you don't really have the right to complain. Right. You need to properly vet your partner. If you are an overachiever and you want an overachieving partner, then you have to go and search for that. Right. So in my thoughts, I'm thinking, you know, maybe some of them, you know, they didn't want to do more work. Right. Like I'll always say like, that's the reason why I really didn't go to medical school. I always wanted to be in the medical field, but being a doctor, I did not want to go to school for 10, 15 years. And that was something that I was okay with. Right. So, but it would be wrong of me to be like, I didn't want to go to medical school because it was too much. And then I have a friend who is a doctor, balling, living in West Bloomfield on the lake. Right. And then I'm like, oh, you're so lucky. Right. That's wrong. Right. So I'm not saying that that's their exact situation. Right. It could be like each and every one of them was in a different position. Right. Maybe one of them was content. Another one had an injury. Like we really don't know. Right. And on top of that, not to make it a gender thing, but sometimes men don't really share with each other. Right. So some of them could have gone through things. Right. And OP probably didn't know. Right. Because sometimes men don't share.
Right. And that's why I agree with what you're saying, but that's why he can't call them lazy, because he doesn't know what prevented them from doing more. Yeah. You know, the only thing that he can be sure of is that they are annoying and they were wrong to say that he was lucky to have gotten anything that he's gotten. And yeah, I think what I said before, I feel like people should be more forthcoming about their own personal privileges too. Yeah. And realizing that, because like, let's say, okay, you decided not to go to medical school because you didn't want to go to school for all these years or whatever, but let's say someone who did, but they had a lot more help and resources that made them going to school for that amount of time a lot easier for them. You know, where it makes things more, okay, I can see myself doing this and going farther with this, because like the first story we read where she had an uncle give her a house that she couldn't collect rent on.
True.
That was like some extreme privilege that in 10 to 15 years, she is going to be way ahead of her peers because of that. But that doesn't take away the fact that she may go to class and ace every class and get out of college with a 4.0 GPA, being a part of all the organizations, networking with all the right people, doing this and this and that. But it's because she has had a lot more time and energy to focus on that because she doesn't have the worry of finances for real. Yeah. So, yeah.
And it could partially, just be him being a little frustrated.
He was definitely frustrated because they were annoying.
Yeah.
That was annoying.
Yeah.
They're diminishing his hard work. Yeah. They're diminishing everything that he's done, all the right decisions that he's made for his own personal life. Yeah. They're diminishing it. And
but I can't, like, we can say that he was wrong for calling them lazy. However, sometimes when you are in high emotion, you can say a few things that are exaggerations of how you feel, or maybe it was how you felt, but because they're your friends, you don't want to call your friends lazy. Right. You know, let's say hypothetically they were lazy. Right. But you love your friends. Right. So it's like, you're not about to sit there and call them lazy, but you understand that they could do more. Right. Like, the reason why I'm saying that is because I can think of a few people right now where it's like, I know everything that's going on. And of course there are, some anxieties and depression and everything like that. Right. But then it's like, I can't call them lazy, but it's more of, you can have so much more, like you can do so much more, even if you are in this spot. Right. You know, like there's more that you can do always. Right. So because I'm thinking of those people, it's hard to, it's just hard. It's hard to know that people that you love don't want to make their life better for themselves. Right. You know, because if you care about someone, you want their life to be good so they can be happy. Right. It's nothing about you. Right. When I'm thinking about people, it's not about me. Right. It's about me wanting them to be happy. Right. So for him to say that they're lazy, I think it was just
he was mad.
Frustration. Yeah. He was mad.
He was mad. I agree with what you're saying. Like, you can be, empathetic for the people you care and want to see them do better. But I don't think that was his sentiments. I think he was just tired of them getting on him instead of being good friends. Yeah. And again, with everything that I said, I'm not saying he's the asshole, and I'm not saying that his friends were right, because we're not ignoring the fact that he has said he felt like his friends have not been congratulating him, not been happy to see his success. And that's all wrong, and a reason for him to want to probably distance himself from this friend group and make new friends. I'm more so trying to advocate and like maybe switch the narrative around the word lazy, because I don't like applying that unless you really know what someone is going through. Right. Unless you really, really know what someone is going through, you can't say that about them. And I just hate to see it, because I feel like a lot of times people have been harshly judged as lazy when they were just mentally really not okay. So, okay. This is our final story. And if you stay to the end, great, because this is juicy. Are you ready?
You were giving like you're going to get a prize.
You are. You're going to get a prize, and the prize is juice. A hot cup of tea. So, am I the asshole if I break up with my boyfriend after he asks to have my friend join in?
I love these stories.
Because what was he thinking?
Friend. Okay.
My boyfriend 23 male, and I, 19 female.
Okay.
They're young. We're showering after getting at it. So, it's like being like after doing it.
No, quick comment. I was watching Smosh the other day, and Shane was saying how he didn't like that a lot of people don't just say having sex.
Okay.
They'll be like, I don't know all the metaphors for like having sex, or like, and we did it, if you know what I mean. Like
no, I don't know what you mean. What did you do?
And he was like, why can't it just say have sex or we fuck? Like,
instead of doing it, getting it on, fooling around. Fooling around probably is my least favorite, because when I would see that on TV, I was never quite clear that they meant sex. I always thought fooling around meant like kissing.
Right, like foreplay or something.
Yes, but like people will say that to mean sex, and it's like that one is confusing. So, and why is it fooling around
or knocking boots?
That's an me off, because who's wearing boots? And why are they just knocking?
Why are they knocking? Like that just means y'all feet are together like this.
Just what? Damn.
Oh my God.
And why is the girl wearing boots? Are they both in the army?
I don't know. Both of them wearing boots, or
they could have never said knocking shoes.
Okay.
So we were showering after getting at it the other night when he randomly asked, "Would you ever let another girl join in?" I laughed, thinking he was joking. So I played along and said, with who? Expecting him to say something ridiculous or to make some joke. Instead, he smiled a little and casually went, "Olivia." She's pretty, and I think she'd like it. I just kind of froze for a second because I wasn't expecting that at all. At that moment, a dozen questions raced through my mind. Olivia, 18 female, is one of my close friends, and she's also got to know my boyfriend, so we all know each other. The last time we all hung out was at the beach for her birthday. I told him I wasn't comfortable with that and asked why he even thought of her specifically. He just shrugged and said he figured I'd feel more comfortable with someone we both knew, and he thought she'd say yes. I told him that I was feeling weird right then. He rolled his eyes at me and said it was just a question. I pressed him again why he wanted her specifically. He said he asked me first because the thought popped in his mind and he wasn't expecting me to go along, but he thought it'd be a fun time. And that he then just said her name because she popped in his head and he thought I'd feel good with her and that she'd like it. He brushed me off like I'm overreacting. He said it was just a dumb hypothetical in the moment. I don't know about breaking up with him over this, but the thought did cross my mind. Am I the asshole here? Am I overreacting?
No. No. And why would she be the asshole over like not wanting it? Or if you are a person that's, because did she say like if she would be into?
She never said. She never said. She just kind of said she played along and was like, with who? And that's when he said Olivia.
If you played along and was like, with who? I feel like that opens the door to him perceiving that you're okay with a threesome.
Maybe,
what do you think?
Yeah, maybe she wanted to I think she basically just wanted to hear who he was going to say. Thinking he was just going to say something funny, but I don't know. Because who could he have said that would have been funny? Like, could he have been like Beyonce? But that's unrealistic.
Right, no.
So I don't really know what her intention was. Because if that was me, I mean, that has been me. So not now. But like, I have been with someone who asked me that. And I just straight up was like, no.
That would be the correct answer if you don't want it. Like,
I just know. It was just that easy,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess I was just trying to figure out what her intentions were behind saying with who. Because if you're not down, then you should just shut it down.
Exactly.
Basically, because I've never been asked that, but I don't think I would be like, With who? Like, that's kind of...
It's giving them the idea that you want to.
Yeah.
You know, or you're open to it. And there's nothing wrong if someone is open to it. But if you are not, you got to be straight up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think that I'm not trying to be like ageist whenever I'm like, you know, when you're young, you know, stuff like that. But sometimes when you are younger, I wish that you had the understanding, or like I had the understanding, like if someone wants a threesome or just something that you don't want that's part of a lifestyle, then you have to realize that you are incompatible. There's no going around it.
Period.
There's no opening the relationship, because then that's going to make you miserable. There's nothing that you can do. You are incompatible, period. So I think that she just needs to realize that they're incompatible, because if she doesn't want a threesome, then okay. But there are some people who, you know, are open to threesomes, but not with people that they know, which I understand.
Right.
So if she's like that, then I understand why she would say with who, and then why she would be questioning why he wanted the friend.
Right.
You know, because like, did you talk to her already? Like, were you guys talking behind my back? Or like, there's so many things that you can think about. Because then why would he say, I think she'll like it? Do you know?
That was my first idea, because she said multiple times that she kept asking. And he kept saying, he said like 3 times, because I think she'd like it. So I feel like because of OP's age at 19, maybe she doesn't quite understand her intuition. And that she's asking because even she feels like it's fishy, but she's not putting 2 and 2 together. And then maybe she is, and she was seeking those type of answers for people to validate her initial thought of, have him and my friend been discussing this? Because if you don't know, I'm going to put you guys on some game. This is like some real game from a man, a good friend of mine at the time. We're not really friends anymore, but we're not friends. I just don't really talk to him. But he said that, and he's actually done this, that men will, if they want to have a threesome and they have somebody in mind, that they will talk to that person first and have the girl try to convince their girlfriend that she wants to have this. So if to try to make this clearer, let's say it was, I have a boyfriend and you're not my friend. You're just some outside girl that my boyfriend is interested in. You and him will talk about it. Then you will approach me as my friend and then approach me on a freaky tip, make me believe that it's me and your idea to do this. And then I will introduce it to my boyfriend.
He wasn't shit.
And then we will have a threesome. So
that's horrible.
That is a thing that maybe her and, you know, maybe her best friend or her good friend and her boyfriend did talk about this, and he just tried. Because why would he randomly bring this up after just showering?
Exactly.
He randomly brought this up and said, would you want to have a threesome? And could it be Olivia? And
right after having sex too?
Yes. And
way to make someone feel insecure, just saying.
And I'm not trying to, you know, pin this on just Olivia, the girl, because maybe she didn't have anything to do with this. Maybe her boyfriend is just a weirdo, because that is trash behavior.
Yeah.
That does make him trash, whether people like that or not. Him specifically saying, I want to have sex with you and your friend, that's trash.
That's crazy.
That's a trash thing to do. So even if the friend didn't have anything to do with it, it's still trash. But I had to drop that, because if you're a girl or anybody and your partner has ever approached you, or someone has ever approached you on that tip of the same sex, just know that your partner and that other person were probably already in cahoots. So, and that's super manipulative.
That's crazy. Yeah, there's no context because there's no update or anything, right?
No.
Damn.
No.
Okay. Yeah, there's no context to say that the friend knew or anything. I think that she just has to realize, like I said earlier, they are incompatible. And if she's open to threesomes, then this could be an opportunity. Even though it was already weird that he brought her up.
Right.
But if she didn't know about it, if he didn't do anything, then it could be an opportunity for her to tell him, like, lay a boundary. Like, if we're going to do this, then it can't be with anyone that we know. Because then if I want a threesome and I want your friend, then how are you going to feel about that? Because I don't think most men would like that. But so I wouldn't, because I don't want to like shame him for like being a threesome lover. You know, like I don't want it to come off that way.
Right. We're not shaming him for that. The shame is bringing up someone's friend. You just made it hella uncomfortable.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, sometimes people don't understand those boundaries either. So I think that if she had a conversation with him and was like, this is where my boundary is, and he accepted it, then they could possibly move on.
Okay.
Possibly. But if she expresses that boundary to him, he's like, oh, well, I don't understand it. Incompatible.
Right. Excuse me.
Because there are plenty of couples out here who are okay with sleeping with their friends. And, you know, there are people who are okay with that. So he probably didn't think there was anything wrong with it because he's in the mindset of, I don't mind having threesomes with two friends. You know? So.
Right.
Yeah, so it's either they're incompatible or just to have a conversation with him, lay the boundary, and they could possibly work out if she wants threesomes too.
Right.
If not, she got to let him go.
Yeah, because, it's
not going to work.
Nope. And top comment was, funny you thought Olivia. I was thinking James. He would probably be into it.
There you go. He probably would not like that comment.
Right. And I think that is a good thing to say. That's a good way to test if someone actually, because he's saying, oh, it's not a big deal. The best way to find out if someone actually thinks something is not a good deal, and this is very sneaky, but I don't care. It's just do the same thing to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they don't like it, then that is a teaching moment from them. And it is petty, but sometimes you just, it needs to happen that way.
Sometimes you have to make people realize that they're a little crazy. Because sometimes people be thinking stuff and they don't reflect and be like, actually, I wouldn't like this, even though that's something you should do. But sometimes people don't think that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Turn it around on them sometimes.
Exactly.
To make them understand.
Exactly. So pretty much every comment said that. I think there was one comment that said that there was one comment that basically said, you don't need a good enough reason to break up with somebody. Like, basically what you just said, if you feel like you're not compatible, then that's a means to break up. There doesn't have to be a big explosive reason to break up with somebody.
It doesn't have to be, you know, you categorizing it as the end of the world, like we talked about earlier. It doesn't have to be a end of the world situation in order for you to break up with somebody.
It could just be you don't like it. And it's not for you. Yeah. Y'all are not aligned, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Well, that is all we have. Was it juicy? Let us know. If you'd like to see more content like this, subscribe to our channel.
And don't forget to like, comment, and share. And also follow us on Instagram at Totally Wise Podcast.
Bye.
Bye.